delivering quality education, expanding access to learning. The official TV-based instruction of Tagum City. This is Tagum City Division's DepEd TV. Tara na!
Good morning, senior high learners! Joining you today is your fellow amazing teacher broadcaster, Glory May Alcular from Tagum City National Comprehensive High School. What are you waiting for? Grab now your pen, paper, and self-learning module, and let's learn together Introduction to the Philosophy of the Human Person. Module 1, The Freedom of the Human Person. This episode is anchored in the following objectives. How do you define freedom? Are you free? Really free? Record your thoughts through this graphic organizer. In our past discussion, you learned the 4 essential qualities of being human, namely, self-awareness, externality, dignity, and self-determination. So, how now do we define freedom given these human qualities? One clear definition of human freedom is a person's ability to make choices and perform actions. Our freedom delineates us from the rest of God's creations. We'll try to narrow down our understanding of the human freedom given this scenario. A well-trained dog can perform certain tasks on commands such as stay or fetch because it has been trained and conditioned to perform them. The same cannot be said about human beings. You cannot just approach a stranger, toss him or her a ball and say fetch. Surely, you will be embarrassed with curious and suspicious stares from that person. A person will not respond automatically to the command fetch because he or she is not conditioned to obey like a dog. Animals act instinctively, meaning their actions are more like predetermined responses to certain stimuli. Meanwhile, the human person acts rationally. That is, our inherent freedom makes us very dynamic creatures, and our actions do not necessarily follow a set pattern. Let's galvanize your interest about the topic given the 3 kinds of freedom, namely, physical freedom, psychological freedom, and moral freedom. Physical freedom is defined as absence of any physical restraint and the freedom of mobility to act and go whatever, whenever, and wherever he or she pleases. On the other hand, psychological freedom liberates a person to perform actions that he or she considers right and wise. A person is also free to act or not to act. Psychological freedom is innate and cannot be denied as a person. No outside force or influence can compel a person to take action against his or her will. It is also called the freedom of choice. However, moral freedom refers to using freedom in a manner that upholds human dignity and goodness. Freedom is not an object that a person may use in whatever way he or she pleases. A person becomes freer when he or she uses freedom well, but becomes less free when he or she uses it in a bad way. You will now apply what you have learned from our initial discussion about human freedom. Your ability to decide shall be put into a test given this scenario. You were on your way home from school when unknowingly you stumbled upon a wallet. It appears to be full of cash as well as it contains several identification cards of the owner. You knew you were short on the budget you needed to complete the school project you were working on, and you could also spend some of the cash on new shoes. How would you honestly handle the situation? And why would you take that action? The choice is all up to you. Your actions also determine to uphold human dignity and freedom. Being free, however, also entails certain responsibilities. We will understand further the concept of human freedom by learning about its elements. Let me ask you, what makes you free? And how does freedom shape your experiences? Freedom is best defined by its two elements. The first is voluntariness, or ability of a person to act out of his or her own free will and self-determination. Voluntary acts are free acts which can be assigned a corresponding moral value. Consider this scenario and see how is voluntariness manifested in the situation. Freddie was on vacation in a resort prior to graduating senior high school. He was relaxing on the poolside when he noticed two kids playing near the pool without their parents. He did not mind them since he knows there is an on-standby lifeguard in the area. After a short while, Freddie heard a splash. When he looked, he saw both kids struggling to grasp for air, desperately waving their hands in the air to call for help. He immediately got up and headed for the lifeguard tower, but to his dismay, no one was there. Freddie knows he is not an expert swimmer, but he decides to rescue the children himself. He successfully secured both to the side of the pool. Talk about Freddie's decisions and actions. Remember that it wasn't Freddie's responsibility to save the drowning children. But why did he do still? What do you think would have happened should he shrugged his shoulders off? Where would his actions lead him? Would you have done the same thing? Why? Why not? Whenever we decide to act, this results in a certain consequence. All human actions have consequences, which consequently would affect not just the person involved, but also the ones surrounding him. A free being should therefore accept the consequences of his actions and be accountable for them. The second element of freedom is responsibility. It refers to a person's ability to be held accountable for his action and the consequences that come alongside it. The relationship between voluntariness and responsibility is far-reaching and all-encompassing. One cannot be totally free without the other. Although human freedom gives us the ability to think of countless decisions and possible actions, We should always come up with the best decision to come up with a desirable result. Remember, a person is freer when his actions are governed by strong ethical foundations. We must not also forget that we only live once. So, we should not defer or neglect the decisions we make. Cliché as it is, but we are who we are because of the choices we make. It's high time that you speak your minds. Please elaborate your thoughts on the following writing engagements. One of your final tasks is to answer this short objective test to gauge your understanding on our lesson today. Provide an answer to each item. Answers will be revealed after a 10-second thinking time. Are you ready? Off we go! Number 1. It is an intrinsic and essential property of a person. The human person is by nature free and seeks it. Also, this sets us apart from other beings. The correct answer is freedom. What a good start! Number 2. This element of freedom refers to the ability of a person to act out of his or her own free will and self-determination. The right response should be this: voluntariness. Number 3. This kind of freedom is also known as the freedom of choice. Psychological freedom, if you could recall, is the fairest of them all. For the remaining 2 items, numbers 4 to 5, take a check if you think the statement shows responsible use of freedom. If not, leave the item blank. Number 4. A woman used the internet to humiliate her ex-boyfriend by spreading lewd photos of him on social media. Wrong choices we should debunk. Leave the item blank. Number 5. Instead of spending her ex's allowance on a new pair of shoes, Reina decides to open a bank account and start saving up for her future. Check! Now, reap the rewards. An outstanding clap is receipt award. For your final task, I want you to come up with a brief but brave reflection on the following questions. Number 1. In what way can you change or improve your behavior so that you will be better able to uphold human freedom? Number 2. What is the most significant decision that you have made in your life so far? Describe how this has affected you. Another episode of Lantaw Compre has ended. This has been your fellow amazing teacher broadcaster, Glory May Alcular, saying, freedom is nothing else but a chance to be better.